Hello and welcome back to my channel. So believe it or not, CASPA is coming up quick. So today I thought I would do a video of an overview of the whole CASPA application, just a basic walkthrough through every section, just to get an idea of what you need to do for CASPA and how to prepare. Although you can open up a CASPA account early and enter all the information and learn about CASPA application yourself, sometimes it is easier to see a walkthrough before you kind of just throw yourself into it. So without further ado, here is the CASPA tour. Alright, so when you open your CASPA or when you open the page, this is what you see. So obviously you go and you will create an account and you will enter all that information. So once you have all that filled out and you create an account, you will end up with a page like this. So it actually has you add programs before you go into CASPA. So obviously if you add in a program that isn't for sure where you're going to apply, it's just a filler. So you can change them. So if you select any top program, you just do continue, and it'll say, these are your program selections. You can change them completely. But if you just do continue to my application, you can start filling out your application. I also want to make it clear that this is not my actual CASPA application. I opened up a separate application, so that's not my ID. So I'm not giving anything away. As you can see, everything is blank here. But okay, so I started first, which, everybody can do, what they want differently. But I started with personal information, and you just go and you sign. There's a release statement, just basic demographic information, contact information, citizenship. So this is stuff that you can do early on. So I opened my CASPA application in 2017. I didn't apply until 2019, but I entered all of this information. So when it came time to apply, that I wasn't overwhelmed with putting all of this tedious information in. Okay, if you go back to my application, you'll see you have academic history. So you put your high school, it asks just basic information, and then you do colleges attended. So these are any colleges you attended, and that includes community colleges. And if you studied abroad, there's different things with studying abroad, so I would check into that and probably contact CASPA. But you enter all of your colleges here. Then you have transcript entry, and that's you either pay for them to put your transcripts in or you can do it yourself. I personally did it myself. It's really easy if you have your unofficial transcripts from your school. You just sit and add your courses one by one, directly what it says on your transcript. So it's really not too bad, and plus CASPA is already so expensive, so if you can save money and not do that, I recommend not doing it. So next is standardized tests. I didn't take the jury, so I don't know much about this section, but this is where you would do it. Okay, if you go back to my application, so this is where you have supporting information, and these are your letters of rec, your experiences, your achievements, licenses such as CNA or EMT, your personal statement, and then memberships to any professional organizations, such as AAPA or your state PA organization. So the evaluations tab looks like this. So you create a request, and it's all the personal information. And then you don't have to, but it's really recommended to waive your right to access this evaluation, and that means that you waive your right to read what the letter writer wrote. So usually this kind of shows that if you don't see it, then most likely the writer will give an accurate letter. So it's a good idea to waive your right because it shows, credibility in that writer, and that you're not just having someone write fluff that you told them to write. Then you have your experiences, so you add an experience, and there's all different types that you can choose from, and then you do the name, address, your supervisor and their contact information, the days you started, the days you worked, if you were part-time, temporary, whatnot. Then you do if you were paid for it, if you received academic credit, or you volunteered. And then you do average weekly hours, and then so you kind of have to play with it. So say you worked 100 hours total, and you worked about 7 weeks throughout your semester, and your average hour per week was different every single time. So say you worked actually 14 weeks in the semester, but your average kind of ranged all over. but you want to make sure at the end of the day that the total hours is the one that is the most accurate. So say just 7 hours, maybe one week you worked 10 and another week you worked 5. So like averaged out, it's about 7. So then your total hours is 98. And so you just try to play with that number to get closest to what your accurate total hours is. All right, and then you have your description, key responsibilities. So here you could either do bullet points and kind of list out what you wanted, what you did. I personally chose to do it as another like mini personal statement and include not only like the things I actually did, but what I learned from my experiences. I know some people don't like doing that because they feel like that's a lot for the admissions committee to read and they probably won't read it. But to me, I thought it was another opportunity for me to explain myself and show that I've learned much more than just the duties of my experiences. I've learned like actual patient interaction and whatnot. So I just treated it as another little mini personal statement. So moving on to the personal statement, this is the prompt. It's please explain why you are interested in being a physician assistant. So basically the question, why do you want to be a PA? Keep in mind the character limit is 5,000 characters with spaces, so definitely write it on like a Word document or a Google Doc separate, so you can edit it there multiple times and check your character count. But they also have it here too, so when you copy and paste it in, you can see if that changes. And I recommend doing that ahead of time, so like before you're going to submit your application, so you're not like needing to submit that day and then realizing your essay is not like what the character limit said on Google. So I recommend doing that, a little bit before, just checking so everything runs smoothly when you want to apply. Alright, so going back to the main page, I'll go to program materials. So this is where all the schools that you're going to apply to will have their information. So I chose the school, and they have different programs, have different things. So this one has like a little bit about their school and then their prerequisites. So once you have your transcripts in, you go to transcript entry and that will all be in, but you'll be able to pair like your own classes with their prerequisites, and you'll get to choose which classes you want to fulfill it. So it's kind of nice. So say you took microbiology and you got a C the first time, but you retook it and you got an A. You can like when you click the microbiology, you'll be able to choose which section of micro you want to choose. So obviously you choose the one with a better grade. So hopefully your prereq GPA at that school will be a little bit higher. Obviously your CASPA app, your GPA includes all of the classes you've ever taken, but it's a little bit nice on your prereqs here that you can choose your highest grade. And up here where it says like home and prerequisites, some schools will actually have like their supplemental essays here, or even documents that you need to upload, such as like a resume or a CV. So each program is a little bit different. So another way to search for schools to apply to is actually directly on CASPA. These are all the lists, all of the schools that you can possibly apply to, and you can filter them by like state, deadlines. This is good too because say you apply early and you're not really hearing anything back and you want to start applying to some more schools, because that happens all the time. People get a little bit nervous. They only applied to like 5 schools. They want to add some more. So you can come after you've already applied even and, click through these and see which schools you can still apply to. Like up here you can do programs, past programs, future programs, but available programs are the ones that you can apply to at this time. Alright, so if I go to the Submit Application tab, this will be where all of your schools are. Obviously, I just chose one, so we have this, but this right here will show you how far along you are in the process in terms of that specific school when you're ready to submit. So when you entered your grades, that little green line would go closer to that check mark, and then once you have everything required for that school, you will be able to submit. The reason each box is different and then you have a different green line for each school is because you can submit to some schools earlier if they have like earlier deadlines, and then wait to submit to other schools if they don't have deadlines for a while, because you can update your CASPA application. You cannot edit or like delete any of the experiences after you submit your first CASPA application, but you can add experiences afterwards. Alright, so once you order transcripts, they will show up on this page too to see if they have been received and whatnot.
So once you submit your application, so beforehand it's in progress, that's when you're still working on everything. When you actually submit, it'll first say received, but that doesn't mean that you're complete. So basically, it goes from received to complete, and complete means that you have all your required documents in and your application is in line for verification. So you are not done yet, even if it says complete. You need to make sure that it says verified. That means they verify your transcripts and everything, to make sure your application is set and all the categories, everything's all lined up. So you have to be careful when you apply to schools, because some schools will have deadlines, but you have to be verified by that deadline, and it can take like 2 to 4 weeks to get your application verified once you submit it. So you want to make sure that you submit, with a good amount of time, just in case it does take up to that maximum 4 weeks to get verified. So I submitted, a couple weeks in advance, but it wasn't a really busy time, so my, application went through in a few days. But there have been times where there have been delays, and some people's applications take a while to get to that verified stage. So you just want to make sure you keep that in mind when you're applying. One really great thing to do, especially when you're preparing for interviews, you really need to know your CASPA application and what you put on there. And I know that sounds silly, but sometimes you put things that you did years ago and you forgot about, and they may bring it up in an interview and you're kind of thrown off guard. So once you submit and you're waiting to hear back from interviews, it's best to go and download your application. So it comes into like a PDF, and it's just your entire CASPA application. And I really recommend reading over that and making sure you know what you said in your personal statement, what your experience description said, and just kind of know the gist of like everything you did. So if you get asked a question, you're not thrown off guard.
Alright, so that was just a whole general view of CASPA. If you have any specific questions or have anything that you want to know how I kind of went about doing CASPA or any advice, you can always DM me on my Instagram at whitecoatchasing, or you can leave a comment below. But thank you so much for watching, and please, if you're enjoying my videos, don't forget to like this one and also subscribe.